The scary meeting. The big round room was full of noise. Aliens from all over the galaxy were there. They looked different. Some had tentacles, some had fur, and some glowed in the dark. But they all had one thing in common. They were scared. The room was called the Galactic Council Chamber. It was on a space station far from any planet. The walls were covered in shiny metal, and the floor was so clean you could see your face in it. In the middle was a big round table. Around it sat the most important aliens in the galaxy. At the head of the table was Zorg. He was the boss of the Galactic Council. Zorg had blue skin and 3 eyes. He looked worried as he banged a hammer on the table. "Quiet, please," Zorg shouted. The room went silent. All eyes turned to him. "We have a big problem," he said. The aliens started to whisper to each other. What could be so bad that Zorg called an emergency meeting? Zorg pressed a button. A big screen appeared in the air above the table. On it was a picture of space, but something was wrong. There were hundreds of big ships moving through the stars. "These ships were seen near the edge of our galaxy," Zorg said. "We don't know where they came from or what they want." The room exploded with noise again. Aliens were shouting and waving their arms or tentacles. "Are they here to attack us?" asked a small green alien. "Maybe they're lost," said another with big ears. Zorg banged his hammer again. "We don't know," he said, "but there are so many ships. It looks like an invasion fleet." The word invasion made everyone gasp. An invasion meant war. War was bad for business, bad for planets, and bad for everyone. "But who could build so many ships?" asked a fat alien with spots. "It would take years." Zorg looked even more worried. "We think we know," he said. He pressed another button. The picture changed. Now it showed a blue and green planet. "Earth," Zorg said, "home of the humans." The room went quiet. Everyone had heard of humans, but no one knew much about them. Humans were new to space travel. They hadn't joined the Galactic Council yet. Most aliens thought humans were too young and stupid to be important. "Humans," laughed the fat, spotted alien. "Those monkey creatures, they can barely fly to their own moon." Zorg didn't laugh. "We were wrong about them," he said. "Look at these ships. They're huge. They're fast. And there are hundreds of them." The aliens looked at the screen again. The ships did look scary. They were black and shaped like arrows. They moved fast, leaving trails of blue light behind them. "But why?" asked the small green alien. "Why would humans build a war fleet?" Zorg shook his head. "We don't know. That's why I called this meeting. We need to decide what to do." Just then, the door to the chamber opened. A new alien walked in. But it wasn't an alien. It was a human. He wore a shiny suit and had hair on his face. "Sorry I'm late," the human said. "I'm Tom, the ambassador from Earth. What did I miss?" The room went silent again. All eyes were on Tom. He looked around, confused. "Why is everyone staring at me?" Tom asked. "Did I spill something on my suit?" Zorg stood up. He pointed at the screen. "Human Tom," he said in a serious voice. "Can you explain this?" Tom looked at the screen. His eyes went wide. "Wow," he said. "That's a lot of ships. Where did they come from?" Zorg's 3 eyes narrowed. "We were hoping you could tell us," he said. "They came from the direction of Earth." Tom looked surprised. "Really? I don't know anything about this. Are you sure they're from Earth?" The fat, spotted alien jumped up. "Don't lie, human," he shouted. "We know you're planning to attack us." Tom held up his hands. "Whoa, wait a minute," he said. "Attack? We're not attacking anyone. There must be some mistake." But the aliens weren't listening. They were shouting and pointing at Tom. Some were scared, some were angry. The room was chaos. Zorg banged his hammer again and again. "Quiet," he yelled. Finally, the noise died down. "Human Tom," Zorg said, We need answers. If these ships are not from Earth, prove it. If they are from Earth, explain why. You have one Earth day to find out. If you don't—" He paused for effect. "We will have to take action to protect ourselves." Tom gulped. He looked around the room at all the angry alien faces. Then he looked at the screen full of scary ships. "Okay," he said. "I'll find out what's going on. I promise." As Tom left the room, he heard the aliens start arguing again. He had a big job ahead of him. He had to solve this mystery, or there might be a war. And Earth would be in big trouble. Tom took a deep breath and headed for his spaceship. He needed to call home. Fast. The big blame game. Tom's spaceship flew fast through the stars. He had to get back to Earth quick. The blue and green planet grew bigger in his window. Tom was worried. He had to find out about those big ships, or the aliens might attack Earth. As soon as he landed, Tom ran to the big white building where Earth's leaders worked. He burst into a room full of important-looking people in suits. "We have a problem," Tom shouted. Everyone turned to look at him. The president, a tall woman with gray hair, stood up. "Ambassador Tom," she said, "what's wrong?" Tom told them about the scary meeting with the aliens. He told them about the big ships the aliens saw. "They think we're going to attack them," he said. "We need to explain, fast." The room got noisy. People were talking all at once. Some looked scared. Some looked angry. "Quiet," the president said. Everyone stopped talking. "We need to figure this out. Does anyone know about these ships?" A man with a mustache raised his hand. "Ma'am," he said, "I think I know what they saw." Everyone looked at him. The man worked for NASA, the people who send rockets to space. "We've been working on a secret project," the man said. "It's called the Star Bridge." Tom's eyes got big. "Star Bridge?" he asked. "What's that?" The man smiled. "It's not a war fleet," he said. "It's the biggest adventure in human history." He pressed a button, and a big screen on the wall lit up. It showed pictures of huge ships, just like the ones the aliens saw. "These ships are full of people," the man said. "Families, scientists, farmers, teachers. They're going to find new planets for humans to live on." Tom's mouth fell open. "You mean we're moving to space?" The president nodded. "Earth is getting crowded," she said, "and we're using up our resources. We need new homes among the stars." Tom looked at the screen again. The ships didn't look so scary now. He saw big windows where people could look out at space. He saw green areas inside the ships, like parks. "But why didn't anyone tell the Galactic Council?" Tom asked. "The aliens are really scared." The president looked sad. "We wanted to surprise them," she said. "We thought they'd be happy we were joining them in space. We didn't think they'd be scared." Tom shook his head. "Well, they are scared," he said. "And when they're scared, they get angry. We need to explain, fast." Just then, Tom's space phone beeped. He looked at it, and his face went white. "Oh no," he said. "The alien leader, Zorg, is calling. He wants answers now." The president straightened her jacket. "Put him on the big screen," she said. "We'll explain everything." Tom pressed a button on his phone. Suddenly, Zorg's big blue face filled the screen. He looked angry. "Human Tom," Zorg shouted. "Where are our answers? Are you attacking us or not?" Tom took a deep breath. "No, Zorg," he said. "We're not attacking anyone. Let me explain." But Zorg didn't let him finish. "We've seen more ships," he yelled. "They're getting closer to our planets. If you don't stop them, we'll have to fight." The president stepped forward. "Please, Leader Zorg," she said. "There's been a big misunderstanding. Those ships aren't for war. They're for peace." Zorg's 3 eyes blinked. "Peace?" he asked. "How can so many ships be for peace?" The man from NASA started to explain about the Star Bridge project. He showed Zorg pictures of the inside of the ships. He told him about the families and scientists on board. As he talked, Zorg's angry face started to change. He looked confused, then surprised. "You mean, all those ships are just to find new homes?" Zorg asked. Tom nodded. "That's right," he said. "We're not invading. We're exploring." Zorg was quiet for a moment. Then he laughed. It was a big booming laugh that shook the screen. "Oh, humans," he said. "You scared us all for nothing. But why didn't you tell us about this big plan?" The president looked embarrassed. "We wanted it to be a surprise," she said. "We thought you'd be happy." Zorg shook his big blue head. "Next time, please tell us," he said. "No more scary surprises, okay?" Everyone in the room nodded. They all felt relieved. There wouldn't be a war after all. But then Zorg's face got serious again. "We still have a problem, though," he said. Tom felt worried again. "What problem?" he asked. Zorg sighed. "Those ships are heading right for some of our busiest space roads," he said. "If we don't do something, there could be big crashes." Tom looked at the president. The president looked at the NASA man. They all knew they had a new problem to solve. "Don't worry, Zorg," Tom said. "We'll fix this. Humans are good at solving problems." As the screen went dark, Tom knew he had a lot of work to do. He had to help the Starbridge ships find a safe way through alien space. But at least now, the aliens knew the truth. The big blame game was over. Now, the real adventure could begin. The big surprise. Tom sat in his office, his head in his hands. He had a big job to do. He had to help the Starbridge ships find a safe way through alien space. But how? Just then, his door opened. In walked Sarah, the smartest person Tom knew. She was a young scientist with wild curly hair and big glasses. "I heard you need help," Sarah said with a smile. Tom looked up. "Boy, do I ever," he said. "We need to move hundreds of huge ships through busy alien space roads. Got any ideas?" Sarah's eyes lit up. She loved solving hard problems. "I think I do," she said. "But first, we need to talk to the ships." Tom blinked. "Talk to the ships? How?" Sarah grinned and pulled out a small device. "With this," she said. "It's a new communication tool I made. It can reach the Starbridge fleet, no matter how far away they are." Tom jumped up. "Sarah, you're a genius," he shouted. "Let's do it." Sarah pressed a button on her device. A big screen on the wall came to life. On it, they saw a man in a captain's uniform. He looked surprised to see them. "This is Captain Rodriguez of the Starbridge fleet," the man said. "Who are you?" Tom introduced himself and Sarah. He quickly explained about the alien space roads and the danger of crashes. Captain Rodriguez frowned. "That's not good," he said. "We can't stop the fleet. We don't have enough food and air to wait around in space." Sarah stepped forward. "We don't need to stop," she said. "We just need to change course a little. Can you show us your planned route?" The captain nodded. A map appeared on the screen. It showed the fleet's path through space. Sarah studied it carefully. "I see the problem," she said after a minute. "Look here and here." She pointed to two spots where the fleet's path crossed busy alien routes. "If we can adjust the course just a bit," Sarah continued, "we can avoid those busy areas. But we'll need to move fast. The first crossing is coming up soon." Captain Rodriguez looked worried. "Changing course for so many ships isn't easy," he said. "It's like turning a whole city." Tom had an idea. "What if we turn it into a game?" he said. Sarah and the captain looked at him, confused. "Think about it," Tom said. "We have families and kids on those ships, right? They must be bored. Let's make changing course fun." Sarah's face lit up. "I get it," she said. "We can create a space simulation game. The kids can help plot the new course. They'll think they're playing, but they'll actually be helping navigate." Captain Rodriguez smiled for the first time. "That could work," he said. Our kids would love that, and it would keep everyone busy and happy. They all got to work. Sarah designed the game. Tom coordinated with the aliens to get detailed maps of their space roads. Captain Rodriguez prepared his crew and passengers. Hours passed. The big moment was coming. The first potential crash point was getting close. Tom, Sarah, and a group of alien observers watched the big screen nervously. The Starbridge fleet was a mass of blinking lights, moving slowly across the star map. Here we go, Tom said. It's game time. On the ships, kids of all ages sat at screens. They thought they were playing an awesome new space game. They didn't know they were actually guiding the real ships. The fleet started to turn. Slowly at first, then faster. On the map, the massive lights began to curve away from the busy alien space road. In the room, everyone held their breath. Would it work? The fleet got closer and closer to the danger point. For a moment, it looked like they wouldn't turn in time. But then, at the last second, the fleet completed its turn. It slid smoothly past the alien space road, missing it by a safe distance. The room erupted in cheers. Aliens hugged humans. Tom high-fived Sarah. On the screen, Captain Rodriguez was grinning. It worked, he said. The kids are having a blast. They're already excited about the next level of the game. Tom laughed. That's great, he said, because we have a few more levels to go before we're in the clear. Just then, Zorg's face appeared on another screen. The alien leader looked impressed. Well done, humans, Zorg said. You found a clever solution. Maybe you're not as young and stupid as we thought. Tom smiled. Thanks, Zorg, he said. We're full of surprises. Zorg nodded. Indeed you are, he said. Which makes me wonder, what other surprises do you have in those ships? Tom and Sarah looked at each other. They hadn't thought about that. Well, Tom said slowly, I guess you'll just have to wait and see. But I promise, they're good surprises. Want to come aboard and find out? Zorg's three eyes widened. Come aboard, he asked. You'd let us see inside your ships. Tom nodded. Of course, he said. We're neighbors now. Neighbors should get to know each other, right? Zorg was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled, showing rows of pointed teeth. Very well, human Tom, he said. You've piqued my curiosity. We accept your invitation. As the screen went dark, Tom turned to Sarah. Well, he said, looks like we've got another surprise to plan. Sarah grinned. Good thing we humans are so good at surprises, she said. They both laughed. The big crisis was over. Now, a new adventure was about to begin. Humans and aliens learning to live side by side in the vastness of space. Who knew what surprises that would bring? The oh wow moment. The day had come. Zorg and a group of alien leaders were going to visit the Starbridge fleet. Tom and Sarah stood nervously in the docking bay of the biggest ship, named Hope. Do you think they'll like it? Sarah asked, fidgeting with her glasses. Tom shrugged. I hope so, he said. But you never know with aliens. Just then, there was a loud hiss. The big door of the docking bay opened slowly. Standing there, looking both excited and scared, was Zorg. Behind him were aliens of all shapes and sizes. Welcome aboard the Hope, Tom said with a big smile. Zorg stepped inside, his three eyes darting around. It's bigger than I thought, he said. Sarah nodded. Wait till you see the rest, she said. Follow us. They led the aliens through the ship. At first, Zorg and his friends looked confused. They saw long hallways and lots of doors. It didn't seem very special. But then, they entered a huge room. The aliens stopped and stared. Their mouths fell open. The room was filled with trees and plants. Birds flew from branch to branch. A small stream bubbled through the middle. It looked like a piece of earth, floating in space. This is our farm and park, Sarah explained. It gives us food, clean air, and a place to relax. One of the aliens, a small green one, touched a leaf. "It's real," he said in surprise. Zorg looked at Tom. "You brought a forest into space?" he asked. Tom nodded. "We couldn't leave nature behind," he said. "It's part of who we are." They moved on. The next stop was a big window. Outside, they could see the other ships of the fleet, but something was different. Colorful beams of light connected the ships. "What are those?" Zorg asked, pointing at the lights. Sarah smiled. "Watch this," she said. She waved at the window. Suddenly, the lights changed color. They formed a pattern that looked like a smiling face. "It's how our ships talk to each other," Sarah explained, "and how we send messages. The kids love making pictures with it." The aliens watched, amazed, as the lights danced and changed. "It's beautiful," Zorg said softly. The tour continued. They saw the engine room, where strange machines hummed quietly. They visited the school, where kids learned about space and their new homes. They even saw the kitchen, where chefs were making food from plants grown on the ship. But the biggest surprise was yet to come. Tom led them to a door marked Special Projects. He grinned at Zorg. "Ready for the really cool stuff?" he asked. Zorg nodded eagerly. His 3 eyes were wide with excitement. The door opened. Inside was a room full of weird machines and glowing tubes. In the center was a table with something that looked like a small planet. "This is our terraforming lab," Sarah said. "It's where we learn to make new planets feel like home." She pressed a button. The small planet model changed. Mountains grew. Oceans formed. Tiny clouds appeared in the air above it. The aliens watched in awe. Zorg reached out and touched the model. His hand passed right through it. "It's a hologram," Sarah explained. "A 3D picture we can change and study." "Amazing," Zorg whispered. "Simply amazing." But Tom wasn't done yet. "There's one more thing we want to show you," he said, "something we're really proud of." He led them to another room. This one was dark except for a large screen on one wall. Tom nodded to Sarah, who tapped on a small computer. The screen lit up. On it was a strange, swirling pattern of colors. "What is it?" one of the aliens asked. "Watch," Sarah said. The pattern started to move. It twisted and turned. Suddenly, it formed into a shape. It was the face of one of the aliens. The alien gasped. The face on the screen smiled and waved. "It's an eye," Tom explained. "A smart computer that can learn and think. We made it to help us talk to new life forms we might meet." Zorg stared at the screen. The eye was now showing scenes from the alien worlds, things it had learned from the visitors' minds. "This is beyond anything we imagined," Zorg said. His voice was filled with wonder. Tom smiled. "We hoped you'd like it," he said. "We want to learn from you and share what we know." Zorg turned to Tom. All 3 of his eyes were shining. "I think," he said slowly, "that we have a lot to learn from each other." The other aliens nodded in agreement. They looked at the humans with new respect. As they left the room, Zorg pulled Tom aside. "I must admit," he said, "we thought you humans were just noisy newcomers, but now I see we were wrong. You're not a danger to the galaxy. You're a gift to it." Tom felt his heart swell with pride. This was more than he had hoped for. It wasn't just an "oh wow" moment. It was the start of something big, something wonderful. As he watched Zorg excitedly telling the other aliens about all they had seen, Tom knew one thing for sure: the adventure was just beginning. And it was going to be amazing. The space tour. The next day, Tom woke up to a big surprise. His space phone was beeping like crazy. He had messages from aliens all over the galaxy. "What's going on?" he mumbled, rubbing his eyes. He read the messages and his jaw dropped. Every alien in the galaxy wanted to see the Star Bridge ships. Zorg had told everyone about the amazing things he saw. Tom called Sarah. "We have a problem," he said. "A good problem, but still a problem." Sarah laughed. Let me guess. Everyone wants a tour. Yep, Tom said. How are we going to show the ships to millions of aliens? Sarah thought for a moment. I have an idea, she said. Meet me at the big space station in an hour. An hour later, Tom floated into the space station. It was a huge ring floating in space, where ships could dock and people could meet. Sarah was already there, working on a big computer. What's your plan? Tom asked. Sarah grinned. We're going to give them a tour they'll never forget, she said. A virtual tour. She pressed a button. Suddenly, the whole station turned into a giant video game. Tom could see the Star Bridge ships all around him, as if he was floating in space. Wow, Tom said. How did you do this? I used the kids' space game and made it bigger, Sarah explained. Now aliens everywhere can take the tour without leaving their planets. Just then, aliens started appearing in the station. But they weren't really there. They were holograms, joining the tour from their home worlds. Welcome, everyone, Tom said. Ready for an adventure? The aliens cheered. Tom and Sarah led them to a virtual Star Bridge ship. As they floated towards it, the ship seemed to grow bigger and bigger. First stop, the forest room, Sarah announced. They flew through the ship's wall like ghosts. Suddenly, they were in the big room full of trees and plants. The aliens gasped in wonder. Look, a small purple alien shouted. I can touch the leaves. It was true. In this virtual world, the aliens could feel and smell everything as if they were really there. Now watch this, Tom said. He waved his hand, and the room changed. The trees disappeared, showing the complex machines hidden inside. This is how we keep the forest alive in space, he explained. The aliens listened with wide eyes as Tom and Sarah explained how the ship recycled air, water, and even alien poop to keep the forest growing. Next, they zoomed to the bridge of the ship. Captain Rodriguez was there to greet them. Welcome aboard, he said. Who wants to drive the ship? The aliens all raised their hands, or tentacles, or whatever they had. The captain laughed and showed them how the ship's controls worked. One brave alien volunteer stepped up to try. She pressed a button, and everyone felt the virtual ship turn. Stars streaked by as they pretended to fly through space. That was so cool, the alien said, her eyes shining. The tour continued. They visited the school, where alien kids joined human kids in a virtual classroom. They explored the engine room, marveling at the strange human technology. But the best was yet to come. For our final stop, Sarah announced, we're going to visit a new planet. Suddenly, they were falling through space. A green and blue planet grew larger and larger. They passed through puffy clouds and found themselves on the surface. It was a strange world. The plants were odd colors. There were 2 suns in the sky. Weird animals scurried around. This is one of the planets we hope to live on someday, Tom explained. We're learning how to make it feel like home. The aliens watched in awe as human scientists appeared, showing how they would change the planet. They made the air more breathable. They introduced earth plants and animals. Slowly, the strange world began to look more familiar. Incredible, one alien whispered. You're not just exploring space. You're changing it. Tom nodded. But we want to do it right, he said. That's why we need your help. You know this galaxy better than we do. Together, we can find the best ways to live in space without hurting what's already here. The aliens looked at each other. Then they began to talk excitedly. They had all kinds of ideas about how humans and aliens could work together. As the tour ended and the virtual world faded away, Tom and Sarah knew they had done something important. They hadn't just shown off human technology. They had built a bridge between species. I think, Sarah said with a smile, this is the start of a beautiful friendship. Tom laughed. A whole galaxy of friendships, he said. And you know what that means. Sarah raised an eyebrow. What? Tom grinned. We're going to need a bigger space station." As they floated out of the station, both of them knew that the real adventure was just beginning. Humans and aliens exploring the stars together. Who knew what amazing things they would discover? The big change. A few weeks had passed since the big space tour. Tom was sitting in a meeting room on the giant space station. But this wasn't just any meeting. It was a meeting that would change the galaxy forever. Around the table sat leaders from Earth and alien worlds. They all looked serious. Tom felt nervous. He wished Sarah was there, but she was back on the Starbridge ship, working on a new project. Zorg, the blue alien with 3 eyes, stood up. "Friends," he said, "we are here to talk about the humans joining our Galactic Council." The room got very quiet. Tom held his breath. This was it. The big moment they had all been waiting for. An alien with tentacles for hair spoke first. "The humans have shown us amazing things," it said. "Their ideas could help us all." A small green alien nodded. "Yes, but they are so new to space. Are they ready for this big step?" Tom listened as the aliens talked. Some were excited about humans joining. Others were worried. It was a big decision. Finally, Zorg turned to Tom. "Human Tom," he said, "why do you think humans should join the Galactic Council?" Tom stood up. His legs felt wobbly, but his voice was strong. "We may be new to space," he said, "but we have a lot to offer. We're good at solving problems in new ways. We want to learn from you and share what we know." He took a deep breath and continued. "But more than that, we want to be your friends. We want to work together to make the galaxy a better place for everyone." The room was quiet again. Then, slowly, the aliens started to nod. They looked at each other and smiled. Zorg's 3 eyes blinked. "Well said, Human Tom," he said. "I think we are ready to vote." Tom's heart beat fast as the aliens cast their votes. It felt like forever, but finally Zorg stood up again. "It is decided," he said. "Humans will join the Galactic Council." The room erupted in cheers. Aliens were hugging each other. Some were even hugging Tom. He felt dizzy with happiness. But Zorg wasn't finished. "There's more," he said. The room got quiet again. "We want to do something special to welcome humans to the galaxy." He pressed a button, and a big screen lit up. On it was a picture of a beautiful planet. It had blue oceans, green lands, and white clouds. It looked a lot like Earth. "This is Planet X-52, Zorg said. "It's perfect for humans to live on. We want to give it to you as a gift." Tom's mouth fell open. A whole planet. As a gift. It was too much to believe. "But wait," Zorg continued. "We have an idea. Instead of humans living there alone, we thought, what if we all lived there together?" The room buzzed with excitement. Aliens were talking all at once. Tom could hardly believe his ears. "A planet where humans and aliens live together?" He asked. "Is that even possible?" Zorg nodded. "With your terraforming skills and our knowledge of the galaxy, we think it is. It would be the first planet of its kind. A symbol of our new friendship." Tom thought about it. A planet where kids could grow up learning from aliens, where different species could share ideas and solve problems together. It was an amazing idea. "We accept," Tom said, grinning from ear to ear. The room cheered again. For the next few hours, they talked about plans for the new planet. They would call it Unity. Humans would bring plants and animals from Earth. Aliens would bring amazing technology. Together, they would build a whole new world. As the meeting ended, Tom couldn't wait to tell Sarah and the others. This was bigger than anything they had dreamed of. On his way out, Zorg stopped him. "Human Tom," he said, "I have a feeling this is just the beginning. Who knows what we can achieve together?" Tom nodded. "The sky's not the limit anymore," he said. "The whole galaxy is open to us now." As he looked out the window at the stars, Tom felt a sense of wonder. The universe was huge and full of mysteries. But now, humans wouldn't explore it alone. They had friends among the stars. The big change had come, and it was more amazing than anyone could have imagined. Humans were no longer just visitors in space. They were part of a galactic family, and their greatest adventures were just beginning. The new friends. 1 year had passed since the big decision to create Unity, the planet where humans and aliens would live together. Today was the big day. The first group of humans and aliens were going to move in. Tom stood on a hill overlooking the new city. He couldn't believe how much had changed. The empty planet they had seen a year ago was now full of life. Sarah walked up beside him. "Can you believe we did all this in just 1 year?" she asked. Tom shook his head. "It's amazing what can happen when humans and aliens work together," he said. They looked down at the city. It was unlike anything on Earth. The buildings were a mix of human and alien styles. Some were tall and straight, like on Earth. Others were curvy and strange, like they were alive. In the streets, humans and aliens were walking together. Kids of all species were playing in a park. It was a scene from a science fiction movie, but it was real. Just then, Zorg appeared. He didn't walk up the hill. He just appeared out of thin air. "Teleportation," Zorg said with a grin, seeing Tom's surprised face. "One of the many things we're sharing now." Tom laughed. "I don't think I'll ever get used to that," he said. Zorg's 3 eyes twinkled. "Are you ready for the big ceremony?" he asked. Tom nodded. He was a little nervous. As Earth's ambassador, he had to give a speech to everyone on Unity. And thanks to special cameras, everyone back on Earth and on alien planets would see it too. They walked down to the city center. A big crowd was waiting. Humans stood next to aliens of all shapes and sizes. Everyone looked excited. Tom stepped up to the microphone. He took a deep breath and began to speak. "Friends, Earthlings, aliens," he said. "Today is a special day. Today, we're not just opening a new city. We're starting a new way of life." He looked around at the crowd. A year ago, humans and aliens were strangers. We were scared of each other. But look at us now. The crowd cheered. Tom saw a human child holding hands with a small, furry alien. They were both smiling. On Unity, Tom continued, "We're not just neighbors. We're friends. We're family. Here, we'll learn from each other. We'll solve problems together. We'll explore the galaxy together." As Tom spoke, pictures appeared in the air above him. They showed humans and aliens working together to build the city. They showed kids in schools, learning about different planets. They showed scientists in labs, mixing human and alien ideas to make new inventions. "This is just the beginning," Tom said. "Who knows what we'll achieve together? Maybe we'll cure diseases that have troubled us for years. Maybe we'll find ways to travel faster than light. Maybe we'll discover new forms of life we never imagined." The crowd was getting excited. Humans and aliens were nodding and cheering. "But the most important thing we'll do," Tom said, his voice getting softer, "is become friends. Real friends. The kind of friends who stick together no matter what." He looked at Sarah and Zorg, standing nearby. They both gave him a thumbs up. Well, Sarah did. Zorg did something similar with his tentacle. So Tom said, "Let's make Unity the best home in the galaxy. A home for all of us. Together." The crowd erupted in cheers. Humans hugged aliens. Aliens hugged humans. It was a beautiful moment. As the cheering died down, Zorg stepped up to the microphone. "And now," he said, "to officially open Unity, we have a special surprise." He pointed to the sky. Everyone looked up. For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, the sky lit up with colors. It was like the biggest, most amazing fireworks show ever. But these weren't normal fireworks. The colors formed shapes in the sky. There were earth animals like elephants and eagles. There were strange alien creatures. There were stars and planets and spaceships. "It's beautiful," Sarah whispered. Tom nodded. He felt happy, but also a little sad. He knew that back on Earth, his family was watching all this on TV. He missed them. As if reading his mind, Zorg put a tentacle on Tom's shoulder. "Don't worry," he said. "Soon, we'll have teleporters working between Unity and Earth. You can visit your family anytime you want." Tom smiled. "Thanks, Zorg," he said. "You know, when I first met you, I thought you were scary. But now we're friends," Zorg finished. "Best friends," Tom said. As they watched the light show in the sky, Tom thought about everything that had happened. Humans had gone from being alone on Earth to having friends across the galaxy. They had a new home, new technology, and a whole universe to explore. But the best part was standing right here, on a new planet, watching the sky with his best friends, one human, one alien. Tom knew that whatever challenges the future held, they would face them together. And that was the greatest adventure of all.